Welcome, everybody, to the Religion Unplugged podcast. I'm Joseph Holmes, your podcast host for Religion Unplugged, which is your regular plug-in for religious news, culture, and politics and such. And I have with me here today Devon Franklin. He is an American film producer who is famous for such movies as Pursue Happiness, The Ugly Truth, and, of course, faith-based films like Miracles from Heaven, Heaven is for Real, Breakthrough. And of course, his latest film that he's producing is Flamin' Hot, is on Hulu and Disney Plus July 9th. So thank you so much, dashing and dazzling Devon Franklin, for being on our show.
Oh, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So first of all, for people who don't know, what is the Flamin' Hot movie, and what attracted you to this project?
Yeah, the Flamin' Hot movie is the true, well, basically it's the flavor you know and the story you don't.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah, it's the true story of Richard Montañez, who was the driving force behind the success of Flamin' Hot Cheetos. And he started as a janitor working for Frito-Lay and wanted to, help the company and his plant survive. He worked inside the plant at Rancho Cucamonga, and the plant was, not doing well and jobs were being lost. And he wanted to find a way to save jobs. And he said, well, the company is not going after my people. And if there was a spicy product to go after, to market to my people would show up and we would save jobs. And he came up with the idea to do it. He marketed it, and it became a juggernaut. And what we now know as Flamin' Hot Cheetos is basically attributed to Richard. And not only did he start as a janitor, but the success of this product catapulted him to the upper echelon of corporate America. He became a top executive at Frito-Lay and PepsiCo, and was there for 40 years. And so the Flamin' Hot movie tells his incredible true story that I've already been screening it all over the country, and people are really loving it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is a classic kind of underdog story that's that everybody, and it's inevitably to be a crowd pleaser, and and then the big like this actually happened. Well, it just makes it even cooler to to do. So when were you approached about this story, and what attracted you to the project?
Yeah, I was approached about 7 years ago,
Wow.
6, 7 years ago. Yeah. And a friend of mine, a mutual friend of mine and Richard's, sent me a text and said, hey, I have your next movie. And, I didn't really pay attention. I was like, all right.
Everybody says that. Yeah.
Yes. So, but I said, all right. So I got on the phone. I text Richard. We set up a meeting. And next thing you know, he and his wife, Judy, are in my office, and they're telling me their story. And by the end of it, I was so moved by it. I just said, okay, I'm going to do this. Okay. I'm going to get this movie made. I don't know how, but I will tell your story. And I was connected to it because I was responding to the uniqueness of it. And the idea that on some level, we all feel like underdogs. We all feel like, the odds are not in our favor, and that the, death may be stacked against us. So for him to find success, I felt like it resonated with me, given my, journey in Hollywood and all that I was going through. So I wanted to do the movie because I connected to it. And I felt like if this 1 hour meeting was inspiring me, I felt like it would inspire others.
Yeah, no, that's very true. I mean, there is a kind of a feeling today that that the world is stacked against us. That everybody is sort of feeling like this. Obviously, this is talking about a Latin, man's and their experience particularly, and so definitely have the racial history of people who and marginalized peoples. But it is also true that everybody is sort of feeling like that we don't live in a world where our disadvantages can be overcome, whatever they are. And so having a story like this definitely has that of no, like this actually happened, and so that means that there is hope for you in this world too. So I definitely that makes a lot of sense. What was probably the hardest thing about adapting this? Because you said it's 7 years ago this was brought to you.
No.
What was, for people again who don't know what it is like to be a producer, even one with a career as difficult as you, bringing a story like this to the big, to the small screen, but bringing it to the screen? What was the most difficult part of getting it to the screen, and what was the most rewarding part of getting it to the screen?
The most difficult part is, being patient and just
Hmm.
continue to believe in the idea and work on the script and, meet with, the studio executives and get their notes and work on the script some more and then hire the director and then work on the script some more and then work on the script some more
Yeah.
and convince them, okay, let's do a budget. Let's do a schedule. Oh, it's too much. No, it's not too much. Let us cast the movie. We'll show, it, all of that, you know,
Mm.
is really the process that I went through. And it's hard. I mean, you have you have to have endurance as a producer.
Yeah.
You gotta hang in there because it is not easy. But the job of the producer is to stay clear on the original idea. Like, why did
Ah.
you make the movie? Because that seed of passion is what is going to be required all the way through to get it made. If at any point during the process I lose my passion, the project
Mm.
dies.
Yeah.
I have to continuously stay passionate. I got to fight for it. I got to push it through the system in order to get it made. So it was, years of a very long push, and thankful that we're now at the verge of this finally being delivered.
Yeah, that's fantastic. One thing, obviously, as I announced ceremoniously at the beginning, obviously this is the Religion Unplugged podcast,
Yeah.
and one of the things that's really interesting to our readers is the faith element of this. Obviously, you have, a lot of experience being in the faith-based industry, and this is not a faith-based film, but that's part of your history working in
Sure.
those. And one of the things that, of course, there is an increasing amount of Hispanics, Latin representation on screen in
Yes.
movies, which is great. But one of the things that's often left out of those representation, even in movies like In the Heights or such, certainly the new Transformers film is not going to be doing a lot of, is the very deep faith of the Hispanic community in the United States. That's even as they're being represented, a huge part of their culture
Absolutely.
is Catholic washed. I don't know, is secular washed, whatever you want to say, from it. And so this movie is not like that. This, the faith of them is front and center, which I liked just as a matter of representation of like, this is actually what real people like this are actually like. So
Absolutely.
what was what was important about that, about getting of having faith be an integral part of the story, multiple aspects of the story, and how did you want to make sure it was handled?
Well, their faith was very important to them. And so, how we portrayed it in the film was very similar to how they lived out their faith and explored their faith in real life. And it would have been a disservice to their story to not highlight that. Richard do it, we show how he did it, and a part of it was his faith. And we felt like we wanted to be honest. And the thing, our guiding light with this film was authenticity. We want to be authentic in everything that we do, and to incorporate their faith journey in this movie was making good on the operating principle of authenticity. And you're right that, in the Latino community, faith is, one of the main tenets that the community, rests on. And so we wanted to portray that, not just for that reason, but because that's exactly what happened with Richard and the real Richard and Judy Montañez.
That's fantastic. So you talked about, the difficulties of making sure that as a producer, through all the changes and through all the things you're having to do, making sure you're guiding light. Can you tell us like some of the, changes that had to be made, or kind of what sticking points that were about getting it to the screen?
Yeah, I think, it's always about, in Hollywood, it's always going to be about budget and that, fighting with creative appetite. And so, we had to, make some modifications to the script to get the number of pages down so we could
actually,
get the budget number that we needed, because in theory, the longer the script, the more expensive the movie, depending on what type of movie you're talking about. So we had to really look at the script and make some changes and adjustments that would allow us to hit the budget target that the studio laid out for us. And then we had the challenge of casting. We, did a nationwide casting search for the parts of Richard and Judy, and we were just so blessed to end up with Jesse Garcia, who plays Richard, and Annie Gonzalez, who plays Judy. And that was a process too. And we also made the film. We were going to make the film, and then COVID hit, and then we started.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh wow.
But we were able to get them to make the film like the summer after 2020, which was a huge blessing. And you know, if we hadn't got it done then, I don't know that we would be here now. So those are some
Yeah.
of the things that
Sure.
you know experienced along the way and changes that had to be made in order to get it made.
Gotcha. That makes sense. No, definitely. I'm working on a film right now, and that my producers also said, okay, cut down the number of pages. So I definitely I get that. So all right. Okay, what was say like what was a story from filming that you would highlight that was sort of a highlight of your memories making this movie?
Hmm. Um, you know, it was amazing. I mean, I don't know if there's anyone in particular. I mean, we just every day going to set was amazing. We made the film in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and the local, you know, community and local crew. We were just a family, you know, everyone was a family, you know, and it just really every day was just a joy to come to work. And I've been involved in a lot of movies, and that's not always the case.
Yeah.
But on this movie, it really was. We all loved each other. We love each other, you know, and we really were excited to work with one another. And, you know, and Eva is just a force of nature, you know, and
Yeah.
just her being not only the director, but the ambassador of goodwill. You know, just always, there was just always laughs and fun. And in Albuquerque, there are thunderstorms. So we
Oh,
would stop shooting, you know, for the thunderstorm to pass. And while that was, you know, while we would be down for maybe an hour or two, we would be learning TikToks and, you know, playing card
sure.
games. So it was truly a joy to make this movie.
That's fantastic. Okay, so I know you've got you have are on a tight schedule. So
Yeah.
I have two final questions that I'll give to you right at the same time. You can respond to them at the speed at which you wish. So first of all, if somebody wants to be a producer, either in the Hollywood space or the faith-based space, what would be the advice that you would give them on getting started? And second, what do you want most of all for people to take away from watching this movie?
Yeah, so on the first one, you know, if you want to be a producer, you know, in theory, a producer is someone who identifies stories
Mhm.
and has relationships with writers to write those stories and ultimately, you know, get the financing for those stories to be produced.
Mhm.
So I would encourage someone first and foremost to follow the stories you like, you know, I mean,
Mm.
depending on, you know, where you are in your life or career journey, you know, it was certainly easier for me to start early, you know, 18 years old, interning and working my way up in
Mm.
business. So that, you know, I can't say enough about that, that
Mm.
Hollywood is an apprenticeship business. So it's not the only way you can produce. People produce all different types of ways, but learning the business from the inside out to me is the most effective because you
Mm.
really learn by doing. And so I would encourage someone, if you want to produce, you know, go work on someone else's production, PA on a movie, PA on a TV show, PA on a commercial, PA on a music video set, you know, also do productions for your local church. You know, that's
Mm.
a great way to, you know, start getting your feet wet as a producer. And then you can apply that to, you know, doing other productions. So that's what I would say there. And then also in terms of what I want people to take away from the film, I want people to take away that there is hope. You know, that we all feel like an underdog on some level. Like
Mm.
Richard, you know, Richard felt like an underdog. He was a janitor, and you know, who was he to have an idea that
Mm.
would save the plant? But
Yeah.
then you know, but then who wasn't he, right?
Yeah.
Like just because he was a janitor, he didn't allow that title to stop him from dreaming and believing and working and for the greater good of his company and for the plant workers and his
Mhm.
coworkers. And so I want people to take away that if you're an underdog, you can succeed. You know, you do it by committing to service. Richard served his way to the top.
Mm.
He never thought a Flamin' Hot was going to be a $1 billion brand. It wasn't even a thought. It was just like, hey, I want to save the plant. If I take this spicy product, I market it to my community, I'm going to save jobs. That was
Mm.
it. And because he had
Wow.
a heart for service, then you know the miraculous happens. So I want people to take that away. That even though you're an underdog, miracles can happen for you too. Commit to service and watch what God does.
Such an underlooked quality as service as being the way forward.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Franklin. This has been a great interview. If people want to check out, I kind of alluded to at the beginning, people wanted to check out the
Yes.
movie. Where is it going to be available? Where should they go?
It'll be streaming on June 9th on Disney Plus and Hulu. So you can go to either platform and watch Flamin' Hot and get you some Flamin' Hot Cheetos.
Yeah, it's like snack on it while you're watching.
That's
Exactly.
it. Do it.
Yes.
Do it. And,
Oh, fantastic.
yeah, with your whole family, you're gonna have a great time. I guarantee it.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you all for listening. This is Religion Unplugged, all of your religion, culture, politics, and other news. Thank you so much.